From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas, this is the Grandpa and
Welcome
Pappy
into
Show.
the Grandpa and Pappy Show. Holy mackerel, what a day, what a day, what a day.
Welcome aboard on this beautiful and rainy-ass day. So good to have you along.
Yeah, if you hear God clearing his throat behind us, 1 Biloxi Square is no exception to this.
Then again, it could be Dolly.
My grandfather used to say the animals are lining up 2 by 2, so that lets you know how big it is raining outside. I'll tell you one thing, we are really excited today.
Yeah.
We have a special guest with us, one of our viewers, Gary Vaughan, and he'll be joining us here very shortly.
Oh, GV.
Yeah, and we'll tell you a little bit about him in just a few minutes, but if you are getting a lot of rain, just be very careful. Don't drive into little puddles of water that you don't know how deep they are.
I
Just
go
be
out
very
of my
careful.
way to hit them damn deep puddles, man. I got the big truck.
Well,
I wonder, hey, did Gary bring his goofy-ass friend along with him today?
I think we may have an appearance by him, and we'll tell you about it a little bit here in just a few moments. Our illustrious vice president is down in Mexico and Guadalajara trying to figure out why everybody's wanting to come to the United States. Well, duh. That's all I can say is duh.
To where she continued to say they're going to quit building penitentiaries, so that's going to cut back on the crime rate.
Yeah. I mean,
why in the hell didn't we think about this before?
I'm just flabbergasted.
Golly.
I don't know, but
AOC.
I'll tell you what, we have a lot of things going on here in the land of the free, and Gary Vaughan is with us today. We told you that. We've invited you as listeners to join us and be a part of our show. And let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. Gary is a 25-year retired veteran of the United States Army. Thank you, Gary, for that.
Yeah.
And he's also a pretty free thinker. Talking to him.
Go figure that we'd socialize with a free thinker, huh?
Yeah. He tends to lean to the conservative side, and he's here today to share his opinions on events that are happening in our country from his point of view. So without further delay,
he rode around in big-ass tanks when he's in the Army.
Yes, he did.
Jesus
We'll ask him about that.
Yeah,
Let's
we
bring
will.
Gary on. Hey, Gary. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, fellas?
What do you say, GV?
We're doing well. Yeah, you were a tank guy in the military, right?
I was on every tank in the M1 family of main battle tanks.
Damn.
Yeah.
Big pew-pews.
Big pew-pew.
Yeah. Boom.
I guess if you want to make some of those flat burritos, just put them under the track, and that'll do it.
Yeah, you were where? You were Afghanistan?
No, I was in Iraq.
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 First push into Iraq.
Yeah, with the first push.
That was Desert Storm, if I
No,
recall.
not Desert Storm. Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003.
Okay, got you. That's actually the second Iraqi incursion. Okay.
Well, we thank you for your service, my brother.
Absolutely.
We sure do.
Can't thank you enough, and veterans just like you.
So buy me a beer.
If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have hung around doing it so long.
That's 25 years worth, I guess, huh?
Well, Gary, we've had a chance to talk with you in private about different things going on in our country.
Yeah.
And we'd like to have your opinion on several questions that we have for you. Ready to shoot it out?
Yep.
Okay. Let's start off by what is your opinion of what's going on in Washington, D.C. today and the decisions being forced upon the American people?
Well, golly, that's just like an open-ended question like nobody's business, isn't it?
Yeah, God answered you just now.
The kind of moves that they're making up there are very knee-jerk at this point.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of thought going into it. You said I lean to the conservative, but I'm a true constitutional Republican.
Right.
I'm sorry, constitutional conservative.
Right.
I don't like either of the parties. I have to vote Republican because that's the only choice.
Hell, they're all crooked.
They're all crooked. That came from my grandfather. He said an honest man cannot be elected to public office.
Yeah, Truman or somebody said that as well, didn't he?
I have no clue.
I don't either.
I have no
That's
clue.
before my time. I know he was around though.
Yeah, I mean, you try to look at what's going on in Washington, and they're trying to lean left so much, Gary, that they're leaving out the majority of the American people.
Yeah.
But you know that pendulum theory, Jake, that over time, in politics, as politics evolves, it goes through the ages, it will swing far liberal, and then it will swing back far conservative.
Yep.
Right? And that sweet spot is, everybody says, is right there in the middle.
Right.
I think we need to stop that dang pendulum and start relying on what the Constitution actually tells us to do, what the government can do.
Exactly.
We've grown,
not only to me, but for me.
That's exactly right.
And we've grown so far away from that very Constitution, it's pathetic. It really is.
It is. You and I should be able to live right next to each other, and as long as your rights don't infringe on my rights, we're good.
We're all good.
Hang out.
I agree 100%. Pappy had a question for you, too.
Yeah. As you know, southern border of our state has been classified as a disaster by politicians. And it's not just politicians, laymen like ourselves. Or Texas politicians, a governor and congressman in Washington. What's your take on it, and what would your thoughts be on how to remedy that?
Yeah, that's listen, you look at the images that are coming out of that zone down there, especially with those children that are caught up in this.
Exactly.
They're tragic. They're tragic. It is a disaster. It's a humanitarian disaster. And the fact that the current administration will not own that means that they are not really interested in fixing it.
Right.
And that's a shame.
Well, it's been going on forever. Hell, I've been down on that border a few times.
Now, the state of Texas is starting to take things into its own hands, which this state has the right to do that.
Yes, they do.
And they're going to deploy National Guard down there along the border to further help Border Patrol.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, what happens once they hit the soil, that's decided by Congress.
That's true.
And Congress needs to get a handle on what we are actually going to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that the vice president is in Central America and Guatemala trying to find out why this is happening, I mean, please.
Well, when you hang the welcome mat out, and our own Texas governor, Gary, has said, Governor Abbott said that he's going to start arresting people coming across the border now, that he's going to take matters in his own hands because he's not getting any help from Washington.
Right? We'll see what actually happens from that. I mean, arresting is probably a bridge too far.
Well, they're already doing that, incarcerating them. My question is, what the hell are you going to do with them after you arrest them? You're going to put them in an American
city or
city or prison camp?
I think we should put them on Bluebird buses and drive them right back over the border.
Bluebird? Hell, I never could afford to ride on one of those. Why do they get the special stuff, man?
Or load them up and unload them inside the fences there around the Capitol.
Bring your mom and daddy
Y'all
over
take
here.
Care
I want
of
to talk to them.
But it's the real hard thing about this is that there is a crisis in South America.
Yeah.
We've known about it for a very long time, and all we keep doing is throwing money at it and hoping it'll go away. And that's just not going to be the way that it happens.
Right.
It's not going to fix itself that way.
Right.
Well, and if you'll remember back, like when we were younger, in our younger days, and that issue would come up, they'd say, well, Americans aren't going to work for $2 an hour in the fields. So we'll green card them and bring as many as we can in to do the menial labor jobs, and then send them home after what 30 days or 60 days, whatever it was
60,
back
I
then.
believe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even then that wasn't a solution for it.
That's
true. That was just an excuse to keep from dealing with it. That's what it was.
The United States has plenty of space and plenty of goodwill, so that anybody who wants to work hard can come into this country and work hard and help make this country successful.
Exactly.
But I believe wholeheartedly in a vigorous immigration policy, but I also believe in immigration policy by merit.
Yeah.
So, you do have people, hey, when I come in here, I need to, have a job when my boots hit the ground.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the principles of America was built on, immigration. People coming in and building a new country, How bad do you want it,
Well, I think we can all agree that there is a crisis at the border, and hopefully they get all this worked out. Let's switch gears a little bit, Gary. Dr. Fauci has recently been accused of knowing about the COVID virus and its origins, according to his emails that were just released. Does it change your perspective of what you've believed in all along since the beginning of this thing?
Nope.
It has not.
Nope. I believe that since the very beginning. I mean, it started in Wuhan. Hey, there's a lab in Wuhan.
Yep.
Guess what? I bet it came from that lab because it does what? It researches monkey viruses.
That's right.
Come on now.
There's those two words, common sense. I love it.
Oh, Lord.
And he's been on all the TV shows.
I really just have one word for Dr. Fauci.
What's that?
What letter does that start with?
Yeah, spell that.
H-T-H-T-H-T-H.
There you go. And for me, it's not so important. I mean, it is important from whence it came, but the bigger thing is how the hell we get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's here. Why worry about where it came from? It's here. Deal with it and get it the hell out of the way. Supposedly it's here.
I do believe they're doing a good job of dealing with it. Thanks to Operation Warp Speed, we got some vaccines in record time. Never been done before.
That's correct.
That was not the current guy in the White House that gets the benefit for that one. I mean, that's all about Trump and the Trump team.
Yeah.
That put that operation in.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm vaccinated. My wife's vaccinated. My daughter's vaccinated.
I was going to ask you.
I think I support everybody getting it.
Not me.
I think Pappy had a follow-up question for you.
About face masks. What's your belief on face masks and why?
No, I do not believe in face masks. And why is because they don't work.
That's right.
I mean, 25 years, every 6 months, we went through nuclear, biological, and chemical training.
That's
true. The biological, I believe this was a biological attack by China.
I do too.
So, did you see soldiers running around in face masks in the training that I went through? No we had full protective gear.
Yeah.
Full gas masks, full external protection. That little paper does not stop the virus from transferring to you.
You're right.
It makes other people feel good because you are social signaling that you're a good person.
Well, you're playing by the sheeple rules is what you're doing. And when somebody asks me where my mask is, and I've told them, Jack can testify. Well, why would I need to wear one if yours is working okay? I don't need a damn mask if yours is working.
That's exactly right.
Pro-choice. Yeah.
Hey, Gary, with the president shutting down the Alaska pipeline in his first day in office, has he made the U.S. more dependent on foreign countries for energy?
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
You betcha. That's the Colonial Pipeline, isn't it?
Keystone.
Yeah.
I believe that's
Keystone XL pipeline.
Yeah.
That's right. We were under the previous president. We were energy independent.
right.
Yeah.
And we had surplus.
Right.
And we bought the world surplus. And we were sitting good.
Yeah.
But so why would you change that the very first day in office?
That's a damn good question. That's a damn good question.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. I know we've already hit on the border crisis and everything, but if it was left up to you to build that wall and complete it, would you do it?
Absolutely.
By God. I'd even help you.
I know. I'll go down there with a couple of good Texans, and we'll just slap the rest of it up.
Hell yeah. Let them build their own
Barbecue
dinner.
some brisket and, drink some cold beers. I think we'll get it taken care of in a year or two.
That's
Hey,
it.
Gary, right quickly, what is your opinion of the mainstream media today?
Man, I don't know who I can trust. I don't know where I can get good news and information because I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
All of them are political leaning. It doesn't matter which network you go to. They're all political leaning. And news is supposed to be just that, news.
Absolutely.
So that I get to make a decision about the information that I am providing.
I agree.
No.
I agree.
No,
That's the way it used to be. Just tell both sides of it and let the American people decide,
Well, I mean, and that's the way it should be. I mean, I guess. Being a military veteran, like you have been for 25 years of your life, do you believe our country is taking adequate care of the veterans who served our country?
Doing real good before COVID.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people struggling right now post-COVID because VA centers still haven't opened up.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have a walk-in pharmacy where, if I forget to reorder a prescription refill,
Yeah.
I can walk into the pharmacy and pick it up. I don't have access to that. I don't have access to my hearing aid and audiologist like I need to.
Yeah.
So it's getting pretty tough, and I know there are a lot of veterans out there that are in worse shape than I am, and they're having a tougher time of it.
Yeah. And we will say that Gary is a disabled American veteran, which makes us even more appreciative to you, Gary. Hey, we appreciate your comments. What a lot of people don't know is Gary has an alter ego.
You're a goofy bastard. Yeah.
And he's somewhat of a comedian. And we're going to meet this alter ego after we take this short commercial break, and he can give us his, shall we say, unique perspective on what some of the comments are coming up. So let's take this quick break, and we'll come back and meet him. Yeah. Stay with us.
I'm glad we saved money with that discount agent. I don't know why nobody else wanted this place. I'm glad we saved money with.
We are back on the Grandpa and Pappy Show, and right before the break, we told you that our guest today, Gary Vaughan, is not only a very serious type of guy, but he's also got a comedic side to him that's that's a little funny.
You ought to see him when he has about 2 or 3 shots of tequila in his gut.
And he's got an alter ego that we call Boomer Goober.
Goober.
Yeah, Boomer Goober.
You're a goober. You're a gooter.
Now let's bring
Boomer
in
Goober.
old Boom and see what he's up to today.
Hi, babe.
My golly, how you guys doing?
Hey, I didn't need to know, how'd you get that name, Boomer Goober?
Well, I come from a long line of Goobers. We're a very proud family, the Goobers. We're out of Oklahoma, and it's proud. I mean, the James, what is that guy's name? Carver, George Washington Carver. That's it. Whenever he was looking around for a good name for this little nut that he was growing, he asked his foreman out there on the ranch. He said, "Goob, what do you think I ought to call it?" And he said, "I think you should call them Goobers."
Goobers.
That's a good name. So see, Peanuts, the Goobers were actually named after us.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, it's a bit of history I didn't know.
You look a lot like a guy named Gary Vaughan we know and
Yeah.
love dearly. You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
well, I usually only make an appearance after 2 or 3 shots of tequila.
Yeah, to kill you.
Yeah, and so, I came up. Right now, you guys got me up way before my get up time.
Hey, Boomer, what we're going to do is ask a question here that some of our viewers have answered, and as time regulates, We want you to just throw in your opinion anytime on this subject. Are you willing to fight against critical race theory being taught in our schools?
Absolutely, one of the most dangerous things that ever been taught.
Now, here, Bob Baker said, I gave up on public schools a long time ago. If the church is not willing to create a viable option, then we're screwed. Every church should have a school. The reasons for it greatly outweighs the reasons against it.
Yeah.
Well, I was homeschooled out there on the goat farm. So,
Bet you
when
were.
we grew up, there wasn't a whole lot of critical race nothing. There was critical get your butt to work or I'm going to whoop it.
The only critical race was the sprint from the barn to the house to eat supper,
That's right.
It's kind of hard for them goats to do that when their back legs are stuck down in front of his boots, so, Bubba. Janice Parker said parents really better start fighting back or homeschool their kids. I'm thankful our children are grown. Our concerns now are for our grandchildren and their children. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I got my little grandson Goober.
Yeah.
He runs around up here all the time, so
Goober the
I
third.
worry about him, and I'm not going to put him in public school. It's just not going to happen.
That's right. And I've met his grandbaby. Gorgeous little boy. He is.
Do they call him Peanut or what? That's what I want to know.
Peanut Goober.
Yeah, Peanut Goober, yeah.
Peanut.
Patrick McDivitt stated, who wants communist China teaching American kids how bad America is, so when they get older, they will embrace communist China when it attempts to take over the USA?
Doesn't that just make perfect sense? I mean, shouldn't we just let them over here, just let them run our country?
Yeah. Those are two words Pappy and I say all the time. Common sense.
Yeah, common sense is not so common anymore.
That's right.
That's true. I think you have to order it from the Sears Roebuck catalog, which is no longer in effect.
Political correctness, that's the biggest damn oxymoron I think I've heard in a long time. So.
Yeah, just tell people to call and talk to me because I'll give them a free double dose of common sense anytime they feel like they need it.
And be sure that they can understand it.
Intravenously.
Yeah. Frank Edgar told us, I haven't bothered to really learn what it is or thoroughly understand what it is. Liberal ideas come and go. What were they critically focused on a year or 2 years or 3 years ago, in your opinion?
Well, gosh, I don't know. Trends, they're like fashions. They come and go. Poodle skirt, it's coming back.
Poodle skirt.
I bet you're excited about that, aren't you?
Our buddy Paul Edgar, no relation to Frank Edgar, answered Frank by saying it teaches kids how bad white people are and how racist America is. Marty Blackwell Briscoe said, yes, it's sickening, isn't it? And Steph Holden Nolan told us, I'm so glad my kids are grown.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I do think that everybody should be taught the whole history of slavery in the country.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be based around the fact. It should be taught as history.
Yeah.
It should not be based around the fact that there are oppressors and then there is the oppressed. Because they start boxing people up as either you are oppressed or you are an oppressor. And when you start telling a kid in the 7th or 8th grade that he's an oppressor and he just because of the color of his skin, he oppresses other people, well, that just doesn't seem to be like common sense.
They're starting as low as the first grade with this crap.
I mean, how
not at my house, they're not.
not
Attaboy,
not
boom.
in the Goober home, they're not. And and one thing it just baffoos the hell out of me is how do you explain to a child, irregardless to what race, creed, or color you are, about slavery, and not tell them that the first slave owner was black?
Yeah, that's true. That's fact.
By God.
I think we got him on that one.
I think I can hear cogwheels spinning on that one.
I can neither confirm nor deny that fact. And like my grandpappy used to say, if you don't know, shut up.
That's right.
And you shut up, yeah.
Keep your mouth shut. That's right.
Joey had a good thing.
Yeah, she said she was taught the golden rule. Well, I still got calluses on my butt from that. So I have trouble seeing how this applies to my life personally. It's actually opposite It's actually opposite, actually maybe. I've been told a few times by family members to use my maiden name, which implies I am Mexican, on job applications and when it was considering going to college for minority benefits. I've never considered myself a minority, so I won't do that. I am glad one of my kids is an adult and the other is in Catholic school.
There you go.
I know this gal pretty good. She's my little cousin. So.
Yeah, yeah. Russell Curlin, Boomer. Russell Curlin said, "Don't teach it. Let the kids be kids." Paul Russell said, "Blame the parents for this. Children are not born racist. It's taught or passed down to them by their parents or their culture."
That is a fact. It all starts at the house.
We don't teach racism in my house, so don't teach racism in the schoolhouse.
That's right.
I mean, I just don't see that. There's another way to address that. You can address it as historical fact and not address it as something that is modern day happening, going on right now.
Well said.
There's still some dumb people out there. I've run across them out there in Oklahoma all the time.
I heard that.
But
I've said that for a long time.
There's
No,
not
I'm
that
kidding.
many of them.
That's right.
We're going to wind up the segment here with the last statement from our buddy Mark Green.
Yeah. He said, I've been white for as long as I can remember. But we were taught to respect every person for who they are, not the color of their skin. I saw a report the other day where some schools were teaching children that white people and white kids are born racist and spend their lives trying to take advantage of people of different colors. I call BS to that. I don't.
Well, I will tell you, I'm a firm believer in what Martin Luther King said. A person should be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin.
Exactly.
And he was one of the great speakers that led us out of a dark age.
Yeah, he did.
And I think that we should look back. If we're looking for an expert on that, I think that's a good point to start.
That's a fact. Well, they'll probably wind up tossing him out of the history books before it's over and done with. It starts making sense to everybody.
Yeah.
And he continued to say that now parents are starting to stand up to school boards and teachers about teach critical race theory. The simple solution is to get back to teaching about our country, its heritage, and what we learned from it and how we have moved on. If we do that, we can save our country and our kids. Oh, and have our goofball of a president quit preaching about his white supremacy crap. So,
I agree.
yeah. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Boom. I mean, it starts at home. It starts at home. I saw a meme this morning on Facebook. It had two pictures side by side. And one picture, it had a snow white egg. And right beside it was a dark brown egg. Well, and they were sitting in a frying pan on top of the stove. Next picture, both eggshells were broken. And this reminds me of the story that your pop told. The eggs had been broken. Both eggs were in the pan, like as if you're going to fry them. They looked identical. And it said, "Any questions?"
There you go. Hey, Boomer, we really want to thank you for taking time out and joining us, and you and Gary, and we appreciate it so much. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.
Yeah, it's good having you along, bro.
Anytime. You guys need a little bit of common sense, just give me a holler.
Hey, we'll call on Boomer. Until then, have a good day.
Gary,
we appreciate it, brother.
Gary's like us.
All
He doesn't
right, thanks for having me on, fellas.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a good
one. Boomer Goober.
So we'll have to ask old Boomer because Gary's like us. He don't have enough common sense to pour pee out of a boot half the time. So,
hey, right quickly,
always good having
we're up against a time constraint. We have a couple, the first two that we want to get to on our viewer comments. Excuse me, we're still getting feedback from the show we did on Texas, possibly seceding from the Union. Hero Gamer 1990 told us on YouTube that the government would never allow Texas to become a country again.
Maybe we would, though. When we checked our YouTube account for more show comments, we found a funny one from Ballyhoo819, who is a new member, by the way, a new subscriber. Welcome aboard, brother. Who watched Friday's show on home remedies. And in his own simple words, he just simply told us You guys are effing nuts. Keep it up.
I love it. Thanks, Ballyhoo.
Good hearing from you, brother.
Appreciate it. Hey,
Good
if you have
having you,
a idea for a show or you want to make a comment on any of our topics, very simple to do right quickly.
Yeah.
You can send it to our email address, which is grandpaandpappy at gmail.com.
That's a good way to get started. Or you can simply hit us up on our show website page, which if you will key in www.grandpaandpappy.com, that's grandpa and the letter N pappy.com, and hit enter, you'll see that big red button. Just follow the simple directions on it. Subscribe. Devise yourself an easy to remember password.
It's free.
Won't cost you a bent penny, I guarantee you. And while you're there, you got access to everything we're all about. Facebook,
on our Facebook
page,
group page, Pappy,
Twitter,
they can see what
Instagram.
our opinions are before it even hits the air.
You can leave topics, show topics, which we always invite a good show topic.
And very quickly, if you would like to appear on the Grandpa and Pappy show, let us know like Gary did, and we will get you on.
Absolutely.
It's been fun. Thanks, Gary Vaughan, for being our guest today.
And old Boomer, too, by God.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess we need to buy him a package of peanuts to thank him.
Yeah, we do.
There you go. But we always end every show by telling you to reach out and hug your kids and let them know you love them.
And while you got them in that big old hug lock, let them know they're well loved right here on the Grandpa and Pappy Show, too, by God.
Absolutely. Till we see you again on Friday, we ask you to take care of each other. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll see you then.
That's right.
Bye-bye now.
Later.